Don't worry about the Indiana Hoosiers getting into the NCAA tournament. They're going to get into the tournament, and I'm going to tell you exactly how they're going to get into the tournament. Right now, they're 6-6 in the Big Ten. They're going to get to 11-9. That gets them into the Big Ten tournament. No matter what happens in Chicago at the Big Ten tournament, that is not going to be a problem, all right? And they're likely to win at least one game in Chicago. So that would certainly solidify them as participants in the NCAA tournament in Darren DeVries' first year. He would be the first coach to go to the NCAA tournament in his first year at Indiana, I think since Kelvin Sampson. I think Sampson did it in his first year in 06-07. And if he didn't, Mike Davis sure did in 2000 and 2001. Mike Woodson did too. What am I talking about? Mike Woodson, but he went to the play-in, and then they had the plane problem, and they had to fly to the West Coast, and it was all a big debacle. Remember that? So, and that's a play-in game. So that doesn't really count. Play-in, I don't do the play-in. You got to make the field of 64. Indiana did that by winning in the play-in game. But anyway, Indiana's going to make the tournament, and Darren DeVries is going to get that done in his first year. We're going to talk a little bit about media, because I spent a lot of time today watching TV shows produced from Radio Row. And there's one that did it really well, and the rest of them just sucked. Like, all they wanted to do was eat time. It was kind of this sort of thing. All right, well, it's 12:05. We've got to be here until 3 o'clock. That's what my contract says I have to do. So we're going to be here till 3 o'clock just kind of talking. That's what we're going to do. One host, talking's not enough. He's doing stuff. He's active with guests. It's a funny show, and it's Pat McAfee, because Pat McAfee will not be bored. He doesn't want to be bored. And because he doesn't want to be bored, we're not going to be bored. Pat McAfee does it right. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the Pacers and the draft deadline. That's coming up tomorrow in about 23 hours, a little under 23 hours. What are the Pacers going to do with Benedict Mathurin? Are they going to deal him, or are they not? They don't have to deal him necessarily. They can still get stuff for Benedict Mathurin at the end of the season. They can do some things to maximize his value back, even if he's not re-signed as a member of the Indiana Pacers with some kind of an extension. The Pacers, they're not going to pay him $28 million a year. You're just not going to do that with Benedict Mathurin. And so I think they're going to be busy, but I think that business tends to be with Kevin Pritchard. He can do a deal. Maybe it's Mathurin for Dosunmu. That may happen with the Bulls. There's meat on the bone of that rumored deal. There's some rumors that are just preposterous. But that one, there's validity to that one. Others, not so much. But whether they make that deal or not. And then Dosunmu is also going to be a free agent at the end of the season. But maybe you have a better chance signing a guy with lesser statistics, but maybe a little more game. Like Mathurin, I love Mathurin. But Dosunmu, if you watched him play at Illinois when he was in college, if you've watched him play for the Bulls, this is the best he's played in the NBA. He's kind of coming into his own a little bit late. I like that deal. If the Pacers can make that deal, I kind of like that deal. I got to tell you the truth. Seahawks -4.5. I'm going to break it down really, really simply using 3 statistics. All right. Seahawks -4.5. I love the Seahawks -4.5. Frank Reich signing with the Jets as their offensive coordinator. Beautiful. Frank Reich is a good offensive coordinator, and he's going to do a good job with the Jets. And I'm going to tell you why. Frankly, it's because he can't do any worse. What they had was garbage. Now, how they find a quarterback to run the show there, who that's going to be, I got no earthly idea. But I do know this. They're going to be better because Frank Reich is a good offensive coordinator in a way that he's not a good head coach. He's one of those guys. So, not a good head coach, but there's some guys like that. There's Wade Phillips comes to mind. Norv Turner comes to mind. There's some guys who are just really, really good at being a coordinator and not really, really good at being a head coach. There are things you got to do as a head coach that make some guys uncomfortable. That's just the way it is. And then we are going to talk last about media and last about that show on Radio Row that I absolutely enjoyed. You got to do stuff, for God's sake. You got to be active in media. You got guys, I watched one show. They're, all right, who's a better wide receiver? Was it Megatron or was it Randy Moss? What do you think? Who the hell cares? Where does this come from? For a 15-minute conversation. Where's that come? Who? It's a terrible topic. The execution was terrible. There are guys just sitting on couches. That's the backdrop. It's on a national network, for the love of God. It was on the CBS Sports Network. What are you people doing? Gussy it up a little bit. Decorate the set. Make it look like something. McAfee, man. You look at the McAfee set, he's having a party. They got it working. And great guests. Great guests asked interesting questions. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Drives me nuts to see lazy asses in media do a horseshit job of putting on a show. Drives me crazy. This is Inside Indiana Sports Now for Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. I don't even know what day it is. 2026, brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry, Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best in the business. I treasure my teeth. Once they're gone, they're gone. Teeth don't regrow. It's not like hair. You can shave your hair off all day, right? And then, whoop, out it comes. Teeth, not like hair. Once they're gone, they're gone. Once they got holes, those holes don't fill themselves. You got to get them filled by a professional. You got to get a filling, they call them. Dr. Mike O'Neill does a great job of providing people those. 317-849-2933. Become a member today. Support the channel. Let's go, an easy way to do it. $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you want to do. And then we have a nice little get-together, Coffee with Kent, every single Saturday morning at about 9. All right? Let's go. Become a member. Become a subscriber. And on Friday, so this is 2 days away, getting an autographed jersey from the people at Pristine Auction. It could be Peyton Manning. It could be Patrick Mahomes. It could be Pete Rose. Could be Sammy Sosa. Could be Fergie Jenkins. Could be any of a bunch of other guys. There are like 60 guys in this lot. Some not with names that would be recognizable at the level of the people I listed. If it happens to be Fergie Jenkins, I'm keeping it. We'll open the box together on Inside Indiana Sports Now at about 4 o'clock, and we'll see who it is. And then we'll give it away on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll get this thing out the door. All right? Prizes. We love prizes. You must be a subscriber to be eligible to win prizes. We give away prizes with the fabulous prize wheel right back there. We'll get that spinning. And when we get to 25,000 subscribers, boom! Going to have the giveaway of giveaways. I can't wait. Robbie says, I started watching you from the beginning and I haven't won a dang thing. But I love talking and your insight on our teams. Robbie, I don't think that you're are you a subscriber? You're not a member, but you are a subscriber. That's right. There you go. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. You also, to be eligible, you must be a subscriber. But to enter, you need to use the phrase that pays. And the phrase that pays today is Go IU. We are not looking back. We're not commenting on the game last night against USC. We lived through it. We watched it. We were pissed off that we robbed ourselves of 2 or 3 hours of sleep. But we've lived to fight another day. And now we're ready for Wisconsin noon on Saturday. Only 3 days hence. Let's go. They got to win that game. We'll talk about that. Smash that like button, and if you want to make a donation, no big whoop, but please include a comment or a question that elevates the level of discourse on the channel. All right, let's talk about Indiana University basketball and what they have to do to get to the NCAA tournament. You got to beat Wisconsin. Look, this team, Indiana, is in the middle tier of the Big Ten. It's at the bottom of that middle tier. You cannot lose at home to another another team in that middle tier. They already lost at home to Iowa. You cannot lose to Wisconsin. You must beat Wisconsin. If you don't, it's big trouble. But they're going to beat Wisconsin. And then they're going to beat Oregon. Oregon is not in the top tier. Oregon is in the bottom tier. You're going to beat Oregon. If you win those two games, you're 6-8 in the Big Ten. And then you've got to go 3-3. You got to split the next 6 in order. And this is why beating Wisconsin is really, really important, because the next 6, they're at Illinois and at Purdue. And while I will be optimistic about both of those games, those are 2 top 10 teams, despite the fact, look, you can talk about that losing streak for Purdue and how that should take them out of the top 10. I'm not taking them out of my top 10. That's a really good basketball team, especially at McAfee. So, in Illinois, looks like they could win the national championship. So, those 2 games, I'm not saying that it's a fait accompli that they're going to lose them, but we can't look at those and say, yep, we're going to put those in the W column without sounding like an idiot. I don't like sounding like an idiot. I got this greeting card in the mail from a viewer, Eric Dobby, who is very, very generous. Says, Kent, what a great season to cover. Congratulations to the state of Indiana. Love your show. Eric Dobby, Hartford Colts fan. The cover of the, that's the cover of the card. Man, I'm glad they don't sell these bad boys at the CVS. I'd stop going to the CVS. I've seen about enough of this, you know what I mean? But thank you very much, Eric. Very, very nice of you. I got that yesterday. With basketball, you can be a great team on any given night and be not be the best team either. You can. That's absolutely true. You mean you can beat a great team, but you're not going to project it. Like, I'm not going to say Indiana's going to beat Purdue. They're going to beat Illinois. That's how they're going to the NCAA tournament. We got to live in the real world, even though we're prognosticating victories and losses. And sometimes the real world bites you in the ass, as we all know. Anybody who's put a couple of shekels on a game understands that exceptionally well. After Illinois and Purdue, so we count those hypothetically as losses. And so you are, instead of 8-6, you're 8-8. And you're thinking, ooh, we got to get to 11-9. And we don't have that many games left. We got 4 games left? Be 8-6, 8-8. Yeah, 4 games left. You got to win 3 of them from 8-8. You play against, and 3 are at home, which is great. You play against Northwestern, great chance to win that game. You got to feel really good about that game. That's 9-8. Home against Michigan State. Michigan State's really good, but you could beat them at Assembly Hall. We're not going to count that as a win. We're going to count that as a maybe. The 3rd game is against Minnesota in Bloomington. That's a lower tier team in the Big Ten. Going to win that game. So right now we're 10-8 because we passed over the Michigan State game. Now you've got Michigan State at Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall, and then you've got, to finish the regular season, you've got Ohio State in Columbus. Ohio State's not too bad. They're not too bad. They're not too good. They're one of those middle-tier teams in the Big Ten. You got to win one of those games. You're either going to beat Michigan State at Assembly Hall, or you have to beat Ohio State and Columbus. That's how you do it. You win the games you're supposed to. There are 4 of those. That gives you 10 wins. That's why last night was really important. With last night, you could afford to lose against both Michigan State and Ohio State and get to 11-9 in the Big Ten. That path doesn't exist anymore. You've got to split the games, Michigan State in Bloomington and Ohio State in Columbus, and you can't lose any of the games that you're supposed to win. You've got to beat Wisconsin. You've got to beat Oregon. You've got to beat Northwestern. You've got to beat Minnesota. And there you go. That is how you do it. I don't think that they backslid last night. But Darren DeVries said they did a little bit in his postgame, said they were about a half step slow. I think they were about a half step slow. But even at that, if they had hit some shots that rattled and came out, some threes that they win that game. that does nothing for you. Those ifs do nothing for you. However, it's important to note that it was there for them to get. They are, I think, not a more talented team than USC, but a better team than USC. Which seeds are the 4 and you see for IU in the tournament? I think they're going to be a 9 seed. Lunardi's got them right now as a 10. I got them as a 9, and I think they're going to stick there. So I'm bullish on Indiana after those wins at Rutgers, against Purdue, and then at UCLA. Let's talk about Super Bowl just for a second, because it is happening in 4 days, and it's a big damn thing, but it's more like social and societal bigness than it is football bigness. I still think that the Seahawks cover this thing. They are 4.5-point favorites. They are number 1 in points against, the Seahawks defense is. The defense, number 1 in yards per rush, and number 2 in net yards per passing attempt. The Patriots, they are number 8 in points against, number 13 in yards per attempt rushing, and number 14 in net yards per attempt. Defenses win. And I think the Seahawks defense is kind of a level of magnitude above the Patriots. And so I think the Patriots going to win, or the Seahawks going to win that game, and I think they're going to cover. And gun to head, I would say 23-14. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, 4 total touchdowns, 3 field goals, all the field goals for the Seahawks. I think they're going to turn over the Patriots. I think Drake May at the age of 22 is going to be like, hey, I'm kind of young to play in this kind of game. I think he's going to be that guy. It's hard. You learn from these. It's going to make him better, whatever happens. Adonis says his first year I couldn't care less about watching the Super Bowl. Joined some grid pools just to have some interest. Didn't even realize the Pro Bowl happened either. I wish it hadn't happened. They got to cancel that damn thing. Let's go. How about this? Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, he talks to the media every year during Super Bowl week. And what he said yesterday was he is amazed at the quality of the officiating in the NFL. Why? Why is he amazed by it? Why would he be amazed by it? Why would you're amazed by things where your expectations here, but they do this. We're amazed by Indiana football's national championship, going undefeated, being 16-0. That's amazing. The quality of officiating, the standard of officiating in the NFL should be pretty damn high, and high enough that you cannot be amazed by the quality of the officiating. They meet expectations. It's like those, you get those performance appraisals at work. Everybody thinks that 5 exceeded expectations is the best score you can get. It's not. 3 is the best score you can get. Met expectations. That's the best score. Because it means your manager expected greatness of you and you delivered greatness. That you met that expectation. If I'm the boss and my expectation is down here and you exceed it by here, then I'm a moron. That's an indictment of the management. You get me? Right, even the halftime show's worthless. Goodell's losing it. Halftime show. I don't know. Bad Bunny. If he was at Ruoff and I had passes to go see Bad Bunny, I wouldn't go see him. Not because I have any ill feelings toward him, like politically or anything like that. I don't care. If I go to a concert, I don't care whether a guy's conservative, liberal. It doesn't make any damn difference to me at all. I just like music. I don't grade down because of political bent. But I don't understand the words because they're in Spanish, most of them. And I don't know his songs. So what am I watching for? You know what I mean? I wouldn't go see him, even if it was free. I don't know the difference between a lot of these guys. I saw Bad Bunny on the Grammys. I don't know. Mostly inoffensive, preaching love. That doesn't bother me. You know, the anti-ICE thing, I'm not great. I'm there for the music, baby. Nobody cares what they say politically. It doesn't mean anything. I agree with you. Let's talk about the trade that was made today. Anthony Davis, Dante Exum, D'Angelo Russell, and Jaden Hardy from the Mavs to the Wizards for Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, 2 first-rounders, and 3 seconds. So this is about the draft picks that come to the Mavericks and Davis going to the Wizards. Street Clothes Davis, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the Wizards. That guy ain't going to play more than 40 games again in his life, whether he's hurt or just would prefer not to play basketball. Barstool Media says, do you think trading Mathurin really makes a big difference for the Pacers next year? Is it worth it in your eyes, especially with the high draft pick incoming? I would just sit back and field offers. Well, here's the thing with Mathurin. Like if you're going to get value back, backcourt depth would be nice, a center would be really nice. But they can take care of that in the offseason. What you're really doing is getting something for Mathurin because you're not going to sign him to a $28 million a year extension. You're not going 4 years. What would that be? $112 million? You're not doing that. That would put you. You're not going above the tax threshold for Benedict Mathurin. That's not happening. He's not a starter if Halliburton's back. So are you better off with Dosunmu as a guy who is backcourt depth and can get you some buckets, but comes in at a lower ticket for next year? And maybe a little bit more cagey and aware as a defender. Halliburton needs a good 7-footer to play with. Let's sell out for the best 7-footer. It does give you more money. If you offload Mathurin, it gives you more money. If you bring somebody in who's injured and can't play, go get, who's the guy from the Jazz, Kessler? Go get that guy out for the rest of the season. Go get him for Mathurin. What are the Jazz doing with him, right? Get that guy. Can't play the rest of the year. You're not going to screw up your draft position because you bring in somebody who all of a sudden goes on a heater and wins you games. Go get guys who can't play. Let's get that bottom 3 position locked in for the Pacers, like the Wizards are trying to do, right? Walker is the one the Pacers need to keep. Jarris Walker, I don't think is going to be traded. Jarris Walker, but you know what? Here's the thing with Jarris Walker. Is he going to be good enough by the time that contract expires to make any sense of him being a part of the team? Like, he played well last night, for sure. Do you think the Pacers will be back to form next season? Like nothing happened? No. But you know what? When they win, when they went to the finals, 46, 48, 50, somewhere in there, I think they can do that. So I guess it would be back to normal. I don't know how that allows you to advance, in the East, right through the playoffs. And we'll see what happens with Antetokounmpo. That's kind of interesting. Is he going to go to Golden State? Is Draymond Green going to be on his way out at Golden State? If I'm Golden State, I clean house. I'm all done. So, Frank Reich signed with the Jets as their new OC, and I'm good with Frank Reich as an offensive coordinator. I think he can get that job done, and the Jets are going to be better off for him being a part of that organization. He's not a very good head coach, but as an OC, I think he can get things done. But first, they're going to have to figure out who's going to play quarterback, because who the hell is that going to be? Pat McAfee. God bless Pat McAfee, man. That guy, for people who are paying attention, he's showing you the path in media to do stuff and be successful. He is interesting always. He is never bored, doesn't allow himself to become bored. There are radio hosts and TV talk hosts who are willing to be bored. Jay Leno was willing to be bored, always bored with the guests. Did a good monologue with the guests. He could have cared less what they did. He had no interest in the guest. The thing that was interesting to him was doing the monologue. He loved doing the monologue. The guests, He barely looked at him. And when he did, you could see he wasn't focused. He's daydreaming. He's daydreaming about Mavis or about cars or some other nonsense. He wasn't plugged into that. You watch these guys now. Watch tomorrow, because Radio Row continues tomorrow. Friday, it's nonsense. Friday, everybody's gone. But Wednesday and Thursday, good days on Radio Row. So watch what happens with Pat McAfee on ESPN from noon to 2, YouTube noon to 3. Watch him. Watch him do his job at a really, really high level. Because what he's done is he's built himself a show where he cannot be bored. He's got people around him that he really likes. When he's out of questions, he's got guys, he's got Bobos who can kind of chip in and do some work. And that's a good thing. He's funny. When a guest is funny, he's great. And he listens to answers. Pat McAfee might be the smartest guy in sports media today, period. And how you know he's smart is, again, he never allows himself to get bored. And that's the critical piece of the puzzle. You cannot be bored and host a sports talk radio or a sports talk TV show. You can't. And he's built it exactly his way, and he's built it in a way where he owns his show, and he doesn't have a bunch of nitpickers and a bunch of goofballs trying to tell him how to be a better version of himself. Because he doesn't need that. He knows what that is. Pat McAfee, great show today. Really good, and always. That's what's on that TV from noon to 2. Every day I'm in here. Some days I'm out doing stuff. Any day I'm in here noon to 2, it's McAfee. I'm not going to watch these other goofballs. Today you had, and it was Michael Irvin and some other guys talking about Megatron and Randy Moss, and who gives a shit? Are you out of your mind? What's the matter with you? Do you think people are at home wondering, I wonder, who is the better wide receiver? Was it Megatron or was it Randy Moss? I wish people would talk about that on TV. You know who says that? Nobody. Nobody. Damn right. Randy Smith says, I think Frank can't coach football at all. His worst hire in Colts franchise history. Well, he is remembered for being the guy that Jeff Saturday, who had only coached high school, replaced. There is that. But as an OC, pretty good. Doesn't bother me as an OC. Was a good quarterbacks coach. Like Frank Reich, he's not a stupid person. He's just an insecure head coach. And a lot of guys are that. You know, a lot of guys need to function as part of a group. And being the head coach, you're on that tier above everybody. And that makes it tough. Tucker guaranteed his coach that the ball did not go off of him. Clearly saw it go off the Trojan. All this from Fish last night. I think Pat will ever get into Canton? He may as a media guy, as a contributor. He's not going to get in as a putter. That'd be kind of preposterous. I was so proud of McAfee when he stood up at the national championship, and when he asked his pick, he said, Hoosiers. Pat knows what side of his toast gets the butter. You know what I mean? Pat is not above, but he was right? Those idiots, the national media idiots, they don't watch. They just guess at stuff. Miami is a brand, right? They chose Miami, the brand, over Indiana, the brand. Football-wise, nobody who watched both those teams could possibly pick Miami over Indiana. Nobody could. Yeah, I love that Pat's an Indiana guy too. He lives right over there. And I'm so glad that, and he had Dan on today. Dan was at the podium today talking to him, and he reminded Pat, like the first time that Pat came on Dan's show. And so Pat's on, and I think I was in the building for something. This was post me no longer being the program director at the Fan. So I wasn't Dan's boss anymore. But I went in, I was like, you got to get that guy on all the time. Get that guy on as often as possible. He's the best radio guest in the history of Indianapolis sports. Get him. So they called and they tried to do a deal, but they wanted to run it by Polian first. Or maybe Pat said, run it by Polian. Polian was like, no. Wait a minute. I think I was there. Because Pat was a rookie when I was there. Then I was still the program director and said, hey, what do we do? What do we got to do to get this guy? And I think it was Tom called the Colts, my boss, Tom Severino, and Polian was like, no. We don't need Pat McAfee on the radio once a week. No. Awesome. You knew he was going to be a media star. Great at it. And great guy to talk to. I loved talking to him. When he was a Colt, talking to him in the locker room was awesome. Would you buy a car from this man? We'll talk to you tomorrow. Breakfast with Ken, bright and early, 7 o'clock. Let's go.